GPS and application system space for over 20 years. And then about 16 years ago, started SurePoint with some partners. And there were 3 of us in the beginning. And now we've grown to about 115 employees. And we've stayed very focused on limited products in the application world. And yeah, just very excited to have a practical presentation here. One of the things, I had a presentation that was part of the Precision Ag Summit, and I'd love to just combine everything, but I don't have the time. But one of those, the topic of that was basically meeting your customer where they're at. And we know everybody has different needs in the farming industry and their application needs. And so I just want you to know that's the way we think as a company. And so I'm going to talk some technology, but I'm going to talk some just very realistic, simple principles here on how we do things. We cover the whole United States. We work in Canada. We do some international work. So there aren't too many crops that we don't touch in what we do. So there's this basically a broad spectrum of experience. So with that, we don't give agronomy advice. We never have. We're experts in application equipment. We feel there's too many variables, soil type, crop type, you know, that whole world approach that we're trying to be experts in what we do, and we feel it's a responsibility to leave to a farmer's trusted local advisors. The term liquid fertilizer can mean many things. Most are not like water, some are. We observe liquid fertilizers range from 9 to 16 pounds per gallon. The range I could think of on each end was, you know, basically water with the type of mix in it, to calcium chloride. I think that's around a 6-pound product. And then we have organic growers that that's a picture of Blip meal there on the left-hand side that we've worked with that was turned into a liquid form. Corn syrup with 40% solids. And what we find is many times fertilizers are loaded with additives or particulates. It really becomes more about controlling a craft brew. We see a lot of custom fertilizer combinations out there. And micros, obviously, we've heard a lot of talk, are becoming an industry standard practice. And I'm guessing there's people here that are doing a lot of micro work.
3 ounces per minute right there. We have a solid stream.
I didn't actually know my video worked in this, so that's great. Just shows some solid stream technology at 3 ounces per minute. So seeding is the most important thing you do. So we don't want your fertilizer system to dictate your planting pace. A lot of fertilizer systems are treated just like other sprayer projects with piecemeal components. We do see that a lot. Many require continual manual adjustments to keep them relatively accurate. Most have tiny openings, small moving parts with inherent problems. And for most systems, this requires multiple 80 mesh filters. You'll hear me refer to 80 mesh filters a couple times. Even one 80 mesh filter can stop planting frequently. So think about a system that requires 12, 24, or more 80 mesh filters on a machine. And for most mechanical pieces, especially small ones in liquid fertilizer, that first day in the field with liquid, it could be their best, probably is going to be their best day. So for many of the reasons stated above, it keeps a lot of farmers from even adopting liquid application, or keeps you frustrated. So we know there are better ways. We have a complete systems approach, which increases uptime. We've always been very proud of that. It's been really what has driven us. And as we've grown over time, we've added software engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical. We use data acquisition tools. Like, we test the holy heck out of all of the components that we use within the systems. We don't just hook a pump up to a rate controller, and if we hit a rate, we're happy about that. No, we use the data acquisition tools. It looks like when we hook it up to a pump, it's like a heartbeat monitor. We want that smooth flow. And then SurePoint Electronics is a business we started about 9 years ago to build our wiring harness and some of our own electrical components. And we have a highly skilled sales and service team all in one. And very proud that the sales and service people are all in one, because if we're selling a product, we want to know and be able to support it. And then we have a nationwide dealer network, and that's all brands of dealers, with a renewed focus on technical training. We just did some technical training starting in Denver 3 months ago, and I think ending this week in some other geographies, and we trained over 300 dealer personnel. And they said it was super good because we get out the hardware and the wiring harnesses and flow meters and all these different things, and they get to work with those components. These dealers do. So there's a lot of PowerPoint type training that happens, but we love our products. We integrate into numerous OEM monitors and controllers, so you can see those up there. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. If it's common, if it works, we work inside of that. We have our own ECU, one ECU for multiple functions. It's an ISOBUS controller that we worked on. We began 8 years ago, and with that, we began with our Sentinel liquid row monitor. Gives you instant in-cab notifications of flow variances and row blockage. It's electromagnetic technology. I have been selling that flow meter technology from that same company for over 20 years as our main flow meter system. And then 8 years ago, 8 to 9 years ago, we had it built into that block of 4, which just spreads the cost of the electronics out across the flow meters. And one thing that'll do is it'll give you a map as an as-applied rate of each row or section from the Sentinel row monitor. So you have that verification of flow on each row. And then as a rate controller, it was about 4 years ago that we started expanding on the rate control side, because standard rate controllers that were out there didn't have advanced functions, so individual row control and that sort of thing. And so we slowly, slower than I wanted to, began to work on this, and ISOBUS has come a long way in that time, and so we were able to get past some maybe ISOBUS problems that still existed out there, and so very robust platform, works super well. 4-product liquid and NH3 dry control is limited right now, but we're doing dry control for Orthman manufacturing on their dry cart. So it was one of the first dry projects we did, and we have the ability to do multiple zones across that toolbar, ladder, strip till, whatever that might be. And so a lot of capabilities beyond just a rate controller that applies across the machine. And then 48 section valves via CAN bus zip valves, so there's no section harness. We just daisy chain those valves, and those valves are meant to handle more than 1 million cycles. It's a KZ valve that's made for us. This is the wiring harness, the circulatory part of the system. I really feel like I'm probably gonna get short on time if I take too much here, but we basically took control of that, and we built our own harnesses, and it's a very robust vehicle type harness. 12-volt pump system. This is a small percentage of what we do now. I shouldn't say too small, but these are low volume systems. Many, many years of in-field experience. They're pre-assembled, easy to mount, positive displacement pump. We feel like running a positive displacement pump, whether it's our 12-volt or our hydraulic pump, it's just more of a controlled scenario, and we're not working with bypasses and using less oil. So it's not like trying to grab a tiger by the tail. It's just very controlled application. And this is our pump right. We can mount it anywhere. It has tremendous priming capability. We can run it dry without damage. We can run it from 20 to 450 RPM. It behaves the same way across that whole range. So we have a 20x flow. It's ideal for low and high rate applications. So very good for variable rate, wide pressure range, extremely smooth output, low oil consumption, easy to maintain, and it's very, very predictable and reliable. Flow meter technology, I'm not going to go through all of these components, but if you look on the left, the visuals are really what we want to pay attention to. Turbines versus electromagnetic, where there's just a hole through the center. And so we know what happens with moving parts. Again, 20 years plus of me selling that flow meter, and just super happy with it, and no plans to do anything different anytime soon there. Here is a piece that I think you'll really enjoy, and it's kind of why can we use a 20 mesh filter aside from the flow meter and some of the other components. So metering tubes and flow dynamics, it's the easiest and least expensive piece of what we do. Metering tube utilizes nearly a 3 times opening of a comparable orifice with an 8-foot length to each row. And so orifices take about quadruple the pressure to double the output. Spray tips, orifices, they all work in that way, and it's because of that turbulent flow down there in the bottom. It's like necking down a river. You get eddies and swirls in a river when you neck it down, whereas we get laminar flow out of a metering tube. And by utilizing 2 of these tubes, either an A or a B, or a combination of the 2, we achieve a flow range equal to 6 orifices. And then when properly plumbed, that metering tube row-to-row accuracy is 2 to 4% COV. More times than not, it's 2%. Very few systems providers will tell you their COV is, especially on the liquid side. Instead, they use terms like flow balancing. I'm not going to spend much more time on the 20 mesh other than let's look at the picture. You can see that 20 mesh works on our smallest metering tubes. Gen 3 LiquiShift with row monitor. So we're able to use that metering tube. There are the varying colors there. And by using our Sentinel, we can actually select pressure shift points, but we typically run from 2 to 70 PSI. And then those metering tubes will shift from the A to the B to the combination, or back to the metering tube that it needs to use to run the right pressure. This one is where we talk about the COV, because we don't have check valves in here, and check valves add a lot of variance. So these zip valve on each row are really get us down to what that, where we're talking about that 2% COV. And we believe this system is ideal for most. Now we have a manual version of this. So the AB valve mounted right here on the pump, A and B, we can do that in a manual function to where you're switching your metering tube. You might not want to be fully automated on that. Or we can go to automation where it's just happening through the field. You hit your rates and it's kind of a dream. And then we have Sentinel row control. We can control the application rate of each row. We still use the same flow meters. This is a stepper valve, highly robust stepper valve. We actually figured out how to not only control with each step the way a stepper valve moves, because we get feedback off of that, but we, our software engineers, figured out how to do that in 1/16 of steps. So it's super accurate, but I do not believe it's more accurate than the metering tube. It's just with this, you'd get turn compensation, that type of operation. It's simple plumbing. It's a great solution for wide range variable rate and varying viscosities, but I don't think it's for everybody. We aren't the people that go out and sell the highest technology to everybody and say, this is how you have to do it, this is how you need to do it, because it's highly mechanical. And I've always believed in more of a non-mechanical approach. But we know there are going to be technologies, and you've probably seen some recent releases where, we're going to, shoot seeds and do that type of thing. You got to be able to do that, and keep working on this technology. But we're really more concerned about what's practical, to be able to go out there and make something work and not keep you from planting. And you can expect to replace some valves over time. So we don't want you to be down, but just trying to tell the truth about the way mechanical components work with liquid fertilizer. So hopefully I'm making sense. Do you folks see real things that I'm talking about that maybe you've dealt with in the field? I've spent a lot of time in the field. I don't as much anymore. Manage a lot more people than I used to, but I was a get your hands dirty guy for a long time. So, questions? All right, well, thank you for your time.